Today, we're about to attempt what Bugatti think is impossible.
You can't do that in a garage. There's just a few places in the world with the right equipment and only a few people in the world with the right training to be able to do that.
This is the $6 million Bugatti Persport that was crashed by Alex.
Imagine spending $6 million on a hypercar, only to be told you don't fully control it. Now imagine one YouTuber tearing that car apart in a normal garage, while the CEO of Bugatti says it should be impossible. And then, out of nowhere, Christian von Koenigsegg quietly sides with him. No press release, no interview, just a simple package from Sweden that may have started a silent war in the hypercar world. Let's get into it. The box that started a silent war. The story begins quietly. No press conference, no dramatic Instagram campaign, no carefully staged photos in front of a hypercar showroom. Just a sealed package leaving the Koenigsegg factory in Ängelholm, Sweden, addressed to one man, Matt Armstrong. Now, if you somehow do not know who Matt Armstrong is, here is why the entire automotive world is suddenly paying attention to him. Armstrong built his reputation doing something most manufacturers absolutely hate: buying destroyed supercars and rebuilding them publicly on YouTube.
I bought my first ever crash damaged car and attempted to rebuild it. We're nearly ready to get it on the road. Since then, every one of the cars we've rebuilt has got more expensive, more difficult to work on.
Not small repairs, not cosmetic fixes. Full-blown restorations on cars most insurance companies already declared dead. And these are not ordinary cars. We are talking about a Lamborghini Aventador, a Ferrari 296 GTB, a McLaren P1, and more recently, a wrecked Bugatti Chiron Persport, reportedly worth around $6 million. Cars filled with hybrid systems, carbon fiber tubs, complex electronics, and engineering so advanced that manufacturers usually insist only factory technicians should touch them. That is exactly why this matters. For years, brands like Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Bugatti operated behind an invisible wall. They sold exclusivity just as much as performance. Once you bought the car, you were still dependent on the manufacturer for almost everything: servicing, diagnostics, replacement parts, software access, even approval. It kept the brands in total control. But Armstrong's videos started exposing something uncomfortable. These cars are not magical objects. They are machines. Extremely complicated machines, yes, but still repairable. And millions of viewers started realizing that alongside him. When Armstrong began tearing down the damaged Bugatti Chiron, the internet exploded, especially after Bugatti CEO Mate Rimac publicly warned about the dangers of rebuilding such a car outside factory conditions. He cited structural carbon fiber damage, gearbox cracks, and the risks of a 250+ mile-per-hour hypercar being repaired incorrectly. On paper, those concerns are legitimate. But then critics asked a difficult question. If this is only about safety, why are even simple non-structural parts so tightly restricted? Why is access to information and components treated like classified material? That question shifted the entire conversation from safety to control. And right in the middle of that debate, Koenigsegg entered the picture. Not with a statement, not with a press release, just a box. Inside were official Koenigsegg hoodies, premium shirts, and exclusive merchandise normally associated with actual Koenigsegg owners. That may sound small to outsiders, but inside the hypercar world, it was a message everyone understood immediately. Koenigsegg builds only a handful of cars every year. Their merchandise is not mass-produced influencer marketing. It represents access to one of the most exclusive automotive circles on Earth. Christian von Koenigsegg knew exactly what he was doing, because unlike traditional manufacturers, Koenigsegg has always built its identity around challenging industry rules. From revolutionary engineering like the Gemira's dark matter electric motor to radical drivetrain innovations, the company built its reputation by refusing to accept that things must be done the old way. And now many people believe that same philosophy extends beyond engineering. By acknowledging Matt Armstrong publicly, Koenigsegg was not just supporting a YouTuber. They were quietly signaling support for a new idea of ownership, one where customers and independent builders are trusted, not locked out. And that is why one simple package from Sweden hit the hypercar industry harder than anyone expected. Because it was never really about clothes. It was about choosing a side. Inside the garage, challenging Bugatti. To understand why Koenigsegg's quiet support hit Bugatti so hard, you first have to understand what Matt Armstrong is actually doing inside that workshop, because this is not some ordinary rebuild project. Sitting in a regular garage in the UK is a wrecked Bugatti Chiron Sport, one of the rarest and most technologically advanced hypercars ever created. Original value, nearly $6 million. Current status, crashed, dismantled, and slowly being brought back to life by a YouTuber with no factory support. And that is exactly what makes this story explosive. The Chiron Sport was never designed with independent rebuilding in mind. Bugatti built the car around exclusivity, precision engineering, and tightly controlled servicing. Even basic maintenance on a Chiron can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Tire replacements reportedly require factory-approved procedures because the wheels are engineered for speeds beyond 250 miles per hour. In Bugatti's world, everything is controlled. So when the crashed Chiron appeared in Matt Armstrong's workshop, many people assumed the project would fail before it even started.
We've got a bit more to do on this Bugatti, which is clearly in half. We did the impossible. But now it's going to get a lot harder because everything from now on is building the car and fixing it.
The damage was serious. Destroyed body panels, blown airbags, broken glass. But the real shock came when Armstrong's team began stripping the car down and discovered visible cracks around the gearbox housing, one of the most structurally important parts of the drivetrain. This was no cosmetic repair anymore. To inspect the damage properly, they would need to split the car in half, literally. That process involves separating the rear engine and transmission assembly from the front carbon fiber monocoque, something normally performed only at specialized Bugatti facilities using factory equipment and trained technicians. And Bugatti was not helping. No manuals, no replacement parts, no technical guidance. Nothing. In fact, Bugatti CEO Matt publicly raised concerns about the rebuild, emphasizing that hypercars capable of over 250 miles per hour require factory-level precision to ensure safety. On the surface, that argument made sense. At those speeds, even tiny structural mistakes could become catastrophic. But then the rebuild videos kept coming. Armstrong's team carefully removed the rear wing, diffuser, suspension components, and carbon fiber body panels. And during the teardown, they uncovered something fascinating. Much of the Chiron structure was modular. The panels were bolted together rather than permanently bonded. The design itself quietly suggested the car was, in fact, serviceable. That discovery changed the conversation completely. Then came the 14 titanium bolts connecting the rear half of the car to the carbon tub. Removing them required disconnecting nearly every system running through the Chiron: cooling lines, hydraulic systems, brake connections, electronics, and drivetrain components. At one point, viewers were stunned to learn that nearly all the wiring inside the car appeared white, with minimal visible labeling, making reassembly incredibly difficult. Yet Armstrong's team kept documenting every step. And when the first titanium bolt finally hit the workbench, something symbolic happened. The impossible suddenly looked possible. That is why Koenigsegg's gesture mattered so much, because while Bugatti publicly insisted this kind of rebuild should not happen outside factory walls, Matt Armstrong was proving to millions of viewers that determination, engineering skill, and transparency could challenge even the most protected hypercar ecosystem in the world. And Koenigsegg noticed. Not with a statement, not with an interview, just a quiet package from Sweden that told the entire industry exactly whose side they were on. Mate Rimack's impossible contradiction. Now we get to the part of the story that Bugatti would rather stay buried under engineering jargon and corporate messaging. Because when mate Rimac responded publicly to the Chiron rebuild, his argument sounded solid at first.
But in a Chiron, there's so many electrical wires, piping, oil piping, water piping, fuel lines that connect from the monocoque to the rear section, and they have to split the car in half. You can't do that in a garage.
Safety, structural integrity, factory-level precision. And on paper, he is not wrong. The Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport is not a normal car. It is a 1,500 horsepower hypercar capable of speeds beyond 400 kilometers per hour. At those speeds, even a millimeter of misalignment in the carbon fiber monocoque or gearbox housing could theoretically create catastrophic failure. Rimac pointed to very real concerns: possible structural cracks, damaged transmission mounting points, and airbags that require exact recalibration after deployment. These are not simple repairs. He even corrected viral misinformation circulating online about Chiron headlights, clarifying that they cost roughly $25,000 each, about $50,000 for a full set, not the exaggerated six-figure figures people were repeating online. In that sense, his clarification was reasonable, grounded, technical. But the problem started when people began comparing what was being said with what was being done. A creator in the automotive space, FX Alex G, raised a question that cut through the entire argument in a single line. If safety is the real reason, why does Bugatti also tightly control or refuse to sell non-structural parts like headlights and components that do not require any factory-level intervention? That question matters because headlights are not structural. They do not affect crash safety, chassis integrity, or high-speed stability. Yet access to them is still heavily restricted. And once that contradiction enters the conversation, the discussion shifts away from pure safety and into something far more uncomfortable for manufacturers: control. For decades, hypercar ownership has not meant full independence. It has meant access under permission. Repairs, diagnostics, and parts are often locked behind manufacturer systems, certified workshops, and proprietary tools. That structure protects engineering standards, yes, but it also ensures that every major repair flows back through the factory ecosystem. And that is where Matt Armstrong changes the equation. Because in a normal workshop in the UK, a crashed Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport is being dismantled in real time. Not by a factory technician, not in a controlled facility, but by independent hands documenting every bolt, every wiring harness, every structural decision publicly on YouTube. And the world is watching it happen. At the exact moment Bugatti was reinforcing the idea that this work should not be attempted outside official environments, Koenigsegg moved in the opposite direction entirely. No statements, no press releases. Just a quiet package sent to Armstrong, official merchandise normally reserved for customers inside one of the most exclusive automotive circles in the world. That contrast is what makes the situation so powerful. One company is emphasizing boundaries. The other is signaling openness. One is reinforcing dependency. The other is rewarding curiosity. And in the middle of it all sits mate Rimac, a man who once built electric supercars in his own garage, now leading a brand, telling others that garage-level innovation should stay inside the factory.
His name is Mate Rimac. He runs the Rimac company, and you're 10 years younger than me, and you've done possibly 100 times more things than me.
That contradiction is hard to ignore, because whether intentional or not, this is no longer just about a crashed Chiron. It is about who gets to participate in the future of hypercar engineering, and whether ownership means access or permission. Koenigsegg's secret weapon. Koenigsegg didn't start this war with a press conference. They started it in a laboratory, and that's exactly why the hypercar industry suddenly feels different in 2026. For almost 2 decades, the kings of performance were defined by one thing: bigger combustion engines, more cylinders, more noise, more fuel, more complexity. No company represented that philosophy better than Bugatti. The Chiron's 8.0-liter quad-turbocharged W16 became a symbol of impossible engineering, a machine so mechanically complex it looked more like aerospace hardware than a road car. But while the world obsessed over horsepower records and top-speed runs, another company was quietly building a completely different future inside a former Swedish Air Force base in Ängelholm. Koenigsegg wasn't trying to improve the old formula. They were trying to replace it. And the clearest example of that philosophy is something called dark matter. At first, it sounds like another dramatic hypercar marketing name, but unlike most branding in the automotive world, dark matter is attached to a real engineering breakthrough. The motor developed for the Koenigsegg Gemera uses a rare raxial flux design, a hybrid of radial and axial flux motor architecture. That matters because electric motor design has always involved compromise. Radial flux motors are durable and stable at high speed, but larger and heavier. Axial flux motors are compact and powerful, but difficult to cool and manufacture consistently. For years, automakers had to choose one path or sacrifice efficiency somewhere in the system. Koenigsegg refused to choose. Instead, they combined both principles into one ultra-compact motor, weighing roughly 39 kilograms while producing nearly 800 horsepower and 1,250 newton-meters of torque. That's the kind of output many EV manufacturers need multiple motors to achieve together. And the motor is only part of the story. Koenigsegg also abandoned the traditional three-phase electrical architecture used across most of the industry. Instead, they implemented a six-phase system designed to reduce vibration, improve efficiency, and create redundancy. If part of the system fails, the car can still operate instead of shutting down completely. Then comes the David inverter, built using silicon carbide semiconductors capable of faster switching speeds and higher thermal efficiency than traditional silicon systems. Reports from engineering breakdowns suggest the system can make torque and traction adjustments over 100,000 times per second in real time. That level of control changes the driving experience entirely. And this is where the contrast with Bugatti becomes impossible to ignore. In recent years, creators like Matt Armstrong exposed how difficult modern hypercars can be to repair independently.
But we have my Lamborghini Gallardo here, and that is because the whole reason of rebuilding the Golf R and now modifying it is to see if we can get it quicker than the Lamborghini Gallardo.
His rebuild projects involving Ferrari and Bugatti vehicles sparked massive discussions online about ownership, right to repair, and manufacturer control over diagnostics and servicing. That debate matters because Koenigsegg appears to be moving toward the opposite philosophy. Fewer moving parts, more integrated systems, and engineering designed around adaptability rather than restriction. So the real battle in 2026 may not be Bugatti versus Koenigsegg. It may be two completely different visions of what a hypercar is supposed to become. One is defending the peak of the combustion era. The other is building what comes after it. The silent war reshaping hypercars. So where does all of this leave the industry now? Because what started as a story about a single package shipped from Sweden has now expanded into something much, much bigger. It has become a story about who controls the next era of hypercars. And the answer to that question is starting to look very different than it did even 1 year ago. For decades, the hypercar industry operated on a very simple principle. Build the car, sell the car, control everything that happens to the car afterward. Customers were welcome to drive their machines, photograph them, even race them. But the moment something broke, the moment something needed serious work, the customer had no choice but to come back. There was no other option. The factory was the only legal path back to operational status. That model made enormous amounts of money. It also kept manufacturers in absolute control. But it relied on one critical thing more than anything else: customer compliance. And in 2026, customer compliance is finally starting to crack. Matt Armstrong's rebuild project has already proven that with enough skill, enough patience, and enough public documentation,
We'll be inspecting the Audi RS6 that I just rebuilt.
Dude, get this thing out of here.
This rebuild has had its ups and its downs, and this car has almost pushed me over the edge.
a $6 million Bugatti can be brought back to life outside the factory walls. Whether the final result is absolutely perfect or not is not even the point anymore. The point is that it is happening. The point is that thousands, maybe millions of people are watching it happen in real time. And every single one of them is now asking the same question. If my car ever gets damaged, do I really only have one option? That question terrifies traditional hypercar manufacturers. It thrills new generation manufacturers like Koenigsegg, and it explains, more clearly than any official statement ever could, why Christian von Koenigsegg picked this exact moment to send a quiet little package to the man sitting at the center of it all. Because the future of the hypercar industry is going to be decided by manufacturers who understand one simple truth. The customer does not just want to own the car, the customer wants to own the experience of owning the car. And any company that stands in the way of that, no matter how prestigious, no matter how iconic, no matter how rich in heritage, is eventually going to find themselves on the wrong side of history. Koenigsegg sees it. Bugatti, at least publicly, is still pretending not to. And the next few years are going to determine which of those two postures actually wins. My personal prediction? Within the next 24 months, you are going to see more independent rebuilds, more public partnerships between manufacturers and content creators, more transparency about what parts, actually cost, what repairs really require, and what owners are genuinely entitled to. The wall is coming down. Not all at once, not in one dramatic moment, but brick by brick, package by package, video by video. And Matt Armstrong is just the start. But maybe this was never really about one crashed Bugatti. Maybe this was the first visible crack in an industry built on exclusivity, secrecy, and control. Because when a quiet engineer in Sweden and a YouTuber in a small workshop suddenly end up on the same side of a fight, you have to wonder what they're seeing that the rest of the world hasn't noticed yet. And if this battle over one car has already shaken the hypercar world this much, what happens when the next owner refuses to ask permission?